A day or two after I recorded more things that needed to be said last week, I saw a Fox News story that not only pissed me off, but got me thinking. The 3rd police precinct in Minneapolis that was basically torched and destroyed in the wake of George Floyd's death, you know, because the solution to racism is apparently destruction of crap that isn't yours, is going to cost the city $10 million to rebuild. So like I said, it got me thinking. These peaceful protesters are always talking about how authorities and the system need to be held accountable and take responsibility for their actions. Well, here's another thing that needs to be said. You first. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me once again here on MRCTV, where you should totally subscribe if you like what you're about to hear. I'm Nick Kangadis. Let me just preface everything you're about to hear by saying that I'm going to be referring to the protesters in question as criminals. Because if you destroy property that isn't yours, light fires to public buildings, and toss various projectiles at police officers, newsflash, you're a criminal. Anyway, my idea for the criminals that the radical media like to portray as peaceful protesters.
By and large, these protests have been peaceful.
Largely peaceful protesters.
Peaceful. Mostly peaceful protesters.
A peaceful group of moms.
Peaceful protesters.
Peaceful protesters.
Largely peaceful demonstrations.
Peaceful protests.
The peaceful protesters.
It is not, generally speaking, unruly, but fires have been started.
Is actually a little more specific than I indicated at the top. I have an idea for these never happy, attention-seeking, I'm actually the one with privilege criminals. You break it, you bought it. Now, I'm not saying that these Antifa frauds or BLM Marxists should necessarily have to pay for the damage, although that's not necessarily a bad idea either. What I am saying is that the court system should give these people an ultimatum. They can either go to jail or they can do something they're not used to doing, working. I wouldn't put them in charge of planning the construction, but they should definitely be forced to rebuild. If they can destroy a building until it's unsalvageable, let's see them do something they're always calling for from the same politicians who treat them as the useful idiots they are. Build their community back up. It broke my heart to hear Minneapolis police officer Rich Walker speak at a Minnesota State Senate hearing recently about his experience with the bureaucrats essentially abandoning his precinct, which he refers to as his house.
You can ask any cop who puts his badge on around this nation. They will tell you that they're ever ready to give up their house. It's a symbol to a community of safety. So I thought there's no way that our leaders, even as crazy as it seems sometimes, would be willing to give up a precinct. Because if you give up a precinct, you'll give up anything.
While I completely empathize with Walker's thoughts there, he made one big mistake in his thinking. He actually thought that those politicians were leaders. Police and fire stations within a community are supposed to be symbols of strength. And for those stuffed suits to allow that abandonment and destruction of those symbols with little to no pushback against those criminals prove that they don't know the first thing about leadership. That weak virtue signaling Mayor Jacob Fry probably thought that he could subdue the criminal mob by allowing them space to destroy. Well, he was wrong. As is pretty much every politician in almost every situation. Heck, these days, even when politicians say something right, they rarely, if ever, actually take action on those words. Officer Walker said one more thing that'll make you want to stare daggers at the weak far-left leadership in Minneapolis.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never been more broken as a police officer than I was to watch our leaders give up on our home.
Now, I'm just going to say it. I wouldn't spit on these people if they were on fire. For a strong, real man like Walker to admit that an action by the people that are supposed to have his back broke him? Let me put it this way. The powers that be in Minneapolis, these same powers that want the MPD either disbanded or subjugated to basically what boils down to community organizers, aka Alinskyeites.
I suppose given a choice, I think I would pick hell. The reason I'd pick hell is because that's where all the have-nots are. You know, the currency of the realm shifts. Over here it's money, over there it's virtue. But either way, if you haven't got it, you're stuck. And I've spent all my life with the have-nots. And once I got into hell, well, I'd start organizing. just like I do down here.
Should look in the mirror when it comes to being disbanded or defunded or whatever else they want to do to make their city a communist hellhole. That's right. I'm saying that instead of disbanding or defunding the police department, the city council, the mayor's office, and anyone else to push their far-left agenda should be banished from the city limits. I don't ever call for someone to be canceled or have their opinions silenced or lose their jobs, but these ticks on the backside of society deserve it. These tolerant progressives, whatever the hell that means besides hypocritical jerks, display said tolerance by allowing law-breaking citizens paid for bad actors and others to force law-abiding citizens to bend the knee to their dogmatic bullshit. Here's a tip for the far left. You're in the United States of America, bub. You keep pushing against rational people long enough, and eventually those people will push back. And take that how you will. Whoever the criminals were that torched the 3rd Precinct, be it white people, black people, Latinos, Asian, Antifa, BLM, gays, lesbians, transformers, or whatever other segment of the population contributed to that building and every other building's destruction, need to be held accountable for their actions. Fines and or the threat of jail apparently doesn't intimidate anyone anymore. So make them do something that the rest of us do every day because we understand the value of it. Make them participate in a little hard work. Now that I got that off my chest, I'd like to know what you think. Let me know in the comments, a lot of which I do read and respond to. Should I keep saying things that need to be said? Oh, and don't forget to check me out on Parler. If you like this video, don't forget to share it and give it a thumbs up. Those are the 2 best ways to let us know you like what we're doing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that they might actually let you know when MRCTV comes out with a new video if they haven't taken it down already. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. For MRCTV, I'm Nick Kangadis.